Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brick by Brick. I am your host, Brad Critchfield, and welcome. Thanks for being here. I missed your smiling faces, and I'm excited today because I have Albert here, and Albert and I have been talking about doing this for a long time. We've went back and forth, and one thing I love about him is he's busy, but he's busy doing the right things. He's driven. He's passionate, and that's one of the reasons I knew I had to have him on the show for you, so we could talk about what makes him tick and give you guys something to walk away from this conversation with. And I'm very excited to have him. Before we jump into it, guys, make sure you follow the page Brick Television on YouTube, and I also started a Twitch. Do you ever do Twitch? I just started Twitch. I love it. It's great. It's so much fun. And obviously Facebook and Instagram at Brad the Brick and Brick Television. And without further ado, Albert, what's up, man?
I'm doing good. A little tired, but hey, I'm here.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh man. Well, geez, how far should I go back? I started this business about 10 years ago. And It was a hobby. So first thing, kind of giving a bit of a history, I used to be a full-time...
I'm going to throw that right
Sorry
there.
about that. I used to be a full-time trainer. I was a trainer first for 24 Hour Fitness. Then I became a trainer for Equinox. And I was a trainer for...
That's like the fancy one. Right?
Yeah, the really fancy one.
Yeah.
I think in Manhattan Beach, South Bay area, And so I'm a full-time trainer for about 14 years. And I've always been an artist and a creative guy, but I've kind of put it on the wayside because I'm thinking, hey, I didn't want to be a poor artist,
right?
And so I'm thinking, hey, you know what, go with a job that's secure and make some money, and you love and you like, obviously, and I love training. I love it with all my heart. But there came a time to where I saw, cake pops at a store, and thinking, hey, maybe I can make that. I can do that. Yeah. And then I made it for guests. My first customer was actually Michael Strahan before he moved to the Kelly and Michael show.
Really?
Years ago. Yeah, so when Regis was getting replaced, he replaced him.
Right.
And then he moved to New York. But before that, he heard about me and said, hey, I heard that you make cake pops and maybe you could do my Christmas party. And he was training at Equinox in South Bay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So from there, my boss, Latrell Mitchell, that was his personal trainer, followed him at New York to be his trainer. And then she's one of my greatest friends and mentors in life. And she said, hey, Albert, I really feel that your calling is chocolates.
Yeah.
And you need to explore that. And don't let this pass you by. And I'm like, really? It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, you will in time. And so 10 years later, here I am.
Nice.
So it's a lot more, obviously, that happened.
So you were mentioning that you kind of have to stay on top of the fitness because you're always testing chocolates and stuff, right?
Yeah, because I love candy. I love sweets. It's I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I don't smoke. But my drug of choice, chocolate.
Yeah.
Candy.
So that being said, I want everyone to know these are like Yeti wine cups, but it's just water. But my wife's going to be looking around for a wine glass in a second. So if she barges in here, you know what she's looking for.
That's too funny.
So I think there's something to the whole personal trainer thing. I think there's something, because I started out as a personal trainer. And I think there's something about somebody who takes it upon themselves to be a trainer. And if they do well as a personal trainer, they're probably going to do well at a lot of things, but they're going to, whatever they do, they're going to carry certain characteristics with themselves. Like just the caring about people, being passionate, and also like the health side of things. I think that when you really take care of your body, the brain's working and things are firing off and you're motivated and you want to get things done. Do you think that being a personal trainer, or what made you a good trainer, how has that helped you carry over into other things in life?
Oh, definitely. I think that being a trainer for so many years, the drive and determination, the willingness to, reach your higher, self and evolve to the next level of fitness and mind, body, and spirit is all applicable to growing a business and to what I've done today with my business Albert's Petite Sweets. I remember a time to where, when I was a kid, I was a scrawny kid. I was made fun of. I was picked on, and so there came to an age where, like, I'm going to work out and I want to be buff.
Right.
And I'm not going to be the
I still
underdog.
say that. I say that every day.
It's ingrained in your mind, like, especially the complex of, like, you're not good enough. I think that all exists within all of us to a certain level, to a certain extent,
Right.
And then when family expectations or friend expectations are put upon you, or cultural expectations, being an immigrant expectations, there's a lot, in stake.
Yeah, that was a theme in my last podcast. We were talking about the kind of the immigrant expectations,
Oh,
and
definitely.
kind of how that plays into the psyche of pursuing the things you want to do, and things you may be more accepted to do, and then what you should do, as what you should do. Is there a lot
Those
of
are
that?
two different things.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very different. Yeah.
It's the polar opposites.
Now, did you have to deal with that a lot growing up?
Oh, definitely. I think because, being Filipino American, I came here to the States when I was 9 years old, 1987. As a Filipino kid, I was expected to, my grandfather was an accountant. My grandmother is a nurse, a doctor. I come from a family of nurses and teachers. And so it's like when you have those, that type of bloodline, you're expected to be a nurse.
Right.
You're expected to be in the medical field, and if not, what are you doing with your life? How
Right.
much money are you making?
Right.
What are your goals? You're turning 30. What's next? Those kind of things, and it's both good and bad, because then it pushes you to your next level of life, of, like, to be driven. But it could be the opposite, to where if you're not fulfilling that, it's like, I'm a loser, and then you give
Right.
up. Right?
Right.
But luckily, I went to the side of, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep on going forward no matter what anyone says. And then that was the hardest part of this business, because, again, answering the first question, being a trainer, I had to push myself and my clients to their limits. I can't do another push-up. That's tough. I want 5 more.
Right.
Same thing with myself. I don't want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I have a client at 5.
Right.
Even as a trainer, I remember why I studied rec therapy at Cal State Long Beach, and
What therapy?
recreational therapy.
Okay.
And so what I was studying was to provide therapy for children and geriatrics with disabilities.
Okay.
But after internships, seeing patients die, and me getting affected, I'm like, this is not my thing. Even though a big portion of my life in high school, I took care of, spend time in, disabled centers or, hospitals,
Mhm.
just as volunteer work. So that was my passion, so I thought. But as I
Right.
got older, I'm like, I can't do that. So I transcended from that type of knowledge and implementing that to personal training. And then from there, training into chocolate world. But then when I did that, I'll be honest, I love my family. There was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, you need to become a trainer. I know a lot of people who didn't go to school that are trainers. What's wrong with you? Those type of things. So, and then obviously, when you're going to school and then suddenly studying rec therapy and now a trainer, you're like, you demoted yourself. You're like, not enough.
Right. Right.
Then becoming an Equinox trainer gained respect, to my family. Then when I switched over from training now to chocolate, it's like, what is wrong with you? Like,
Right.
you've been completely opposite, and you know nothing. How are you going to make it? Like,
Right.
how are you going to be successful? This is not going to happen. And when you're ingrained that for years, my life of business wasn't just an uphill battle. It was inverted, because I knew nothing, and they were right. I knew nothing, but I told myself, you know what? No matter what happens, you're not quitting. And you prove, not to them, but you prove to yourself that you can do it.
Right.
And that was my driving force every day, from losing my home to everything, to when I had nothing to where I am today. That was my driving force every single day.
So that's a good segue into, tell me about Albert's Petite Sweets. Tell me what it is, like what kind of stuff you do, like tell me, because I see the pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they look amazing. By the way. Do you take those pictures?
I take the pictures.
Awesome.
The pictures
Dude,
myself.
those are really good pictures. Really good. So tell me about Albert's Petite Sweets?
So Albert's Petite Sweets is I focus on just 6 months ago. It was mostly just cake pops, bouquets, and displays. And I would create these elaborate cake pops, mostly for the corporate entities and companies. And then I have the ability to replicate, company logos, characters. So as I became more known in the industry, I started catering to big companies. Disney hit me up. I did the grand opening of Ratatouille in, I think in Europe somewhere. The grand opening of Frozen here in Anaheim, the grand opening of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that really put me on the map, to where I was able to. And it's a really, really fun story because, like, if I could share that story.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's
we're
really
just sharing stories.
So oh man, so like I said before, I transited from training Equinox, and then I became a cake pop artist. So teaching myself how to bake.
It sounds like you're saying K-pop, but it's cool.
Everyone does it. It's like
cool.
K-pop.
That's cool. Oh, he's into K-pop. That's cool. That's cool.
The cake pop artist. And so then obviously I had a lot of naysayers, and a lot of people said, "Hey, you're like everybody else making cake pop. Starbucks is doing it. You're not going to make it." So I'm thinking, how can I make this unique and different? Well, what if, for example, I don't do a ball shape? I do like, I started making molds. I started making my own designs, and I could make anything that I want.
Right.
What if I start focusing on the movie industry? I will never run out of content.
Right.
If I start working on companies and I can replicate their brand, that's like steady income, because then, hey, it's their brand. Who doesn't want to have their own personal chocolate?
Right.
Everybody does. You know what? I'm going to do that. So that was my premise. That was my goal. And so at the time, obviously in business, it's ups and downs, and there came to a point where the market crashed. Long story short, I was living in a bedroom. I was renting a room, and I was in my darkest hour. When the market crashed, I lost my home, and then I had to make a decision. It's either, Albert, you fall into a 9-to-5 job, and this cake pop business will just be a hobby, or you're gonna go all out and you're gonna do it full force. But there's gonna be sacrifices that you have to be ready for. And so, which means getting rid of everything that I owned and starting from scratch. And so I took the leap of faith. I had a 1-bedroom home, lost it. I moved into a bedroom that I was renting. I had enough equipment, clothes to fit in a car. That was it. The rest was cake pop equipment at a storage facility. And I sacrificed for 3 years.
Wow.
You're going to YouTube, reading books. I didn't know what a POS was or an invoice was, or like how to get back with customers, and taught myself how to bake, because I knew nothing about baking or chocolates at all.
So what brought you into chocolates then? Because if you weren't into baking and chocolates before, like where was that passion, like the willingness to pursue it? Where was that coming from?
So many people telling me that I can't make it. That was the drive. Because it's something that's completely different. I've always been an artist all my life, but I don't know why I gravitated into chocolate work, because that was my medium of choice. Yeah. Not clay, not painting, not watercolor. It was chocolate. Yeah. Because it was edible and people enjoyed it. And I'm passionate about food. It tastes
way better than clay. Yeah. Really, it's like best of both worlds.
Yeah. Towards the end of this show, I have some gifts for you and your family. So then hopefully your fan and your the people get to see it.
Well, Brooklyn saw it when you came in, and you don't have kids, right? No. I can tell you don't, because you never tell a kid that you have a gift for them unless you're willing to give it to them right there. Right there. I got an earful when I went into the house to get some water.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome.
And so that was my choice of a medium of chocolates. Okay. And then, but what I worked with was compound chocolates. Not to say it's not good. It's chocolates that you melt and you form, Okay. And so this more flexibility working with compound chocolates. Okay. And so I started working with it, and there came a point to where it was hard.
Can we make a challenge right now?
Fire.
By the end of this podcast, can you teach me 3 things about chocolate that I didn't know?
Sure.
Okay.
3 things, not a problem.
We got to spread them out though. Just a little bit.
And so so I started working with cake pops, and then there came to a point to where I was going to quit. I mean, obviously my fan base doesn't know that, and my Instagram and followers, none of them knew it. But
Right.
it was like a breaking point where, you know what, I'm done. I'm always broke, or I'm so stressed out. I lost 15 pounds of weight, and I said, what, I'm done. But I did my last prayer. I'm like, hey God, whoever's listening, universe, I need to know if this is for me or not. I've given 7 years of my life doing this, and I'm done. And so if it's meant for me, you need to give me a challenge I've never done before that will put me on the map, something that's out of this world. So 4 days later, I get a call from Disney, and they said, hey, the grand opening of Guardians of the Galaxy is coming. I'm like, holy crap, okay. And we want you to come over to the studios and just bring ideas. I'm all, okay. Do you want samples? No, just ideas. So I have friends, in the industry,
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
and I have a friend, Garrett Sander. He's the inventor of Monster High, and he works for Mattel. He used to. Now he works somewhere else. He's like, Albert, you got to win them. You're gonna be in front of the decision makers. You need something that will blow them away. That's all I can say. So I made a prototype. So at the time, I don't know how to make molds yet. So I'm just starting how to make a
Oh
mold.
wow, this is
I'm
before
new.
you.
This is
Wow.
before. And so I'm making what they call a dump mold, to where you make a mold out of it one time with clay or putty. And after that one, you have to throw it away. It's not meant for mass production.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a dump mold of Groot and some of the characters. I brought it in, and I was in a panel, a four-panel interview, not knowing that. And they were grilling me. Okay, how much is it per price point? And I'm so new at it. I'm like, here's my catalog. Here's the price point. Let's focus on the samples. That was my head. Focus on the samples. Albert, if you win them with the samples, they're not gonna, they're gonna maybe negate the price.
Right. Right.
And so one chef was looking at me. He said, Albert, at first I was so turned off when I heard cake pops. But when I saw your work, this is not a cake pop. This is a
Right.
work of art. This is something else.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked for samples. I brought it in. Well, one of the boxes went to the hands of Disneyland president in Anaheim. And then they said, Albert, we want more samples. There's good news and bad news. And what's the good news? They really like your products. The president wants it. Okay, what's the bad news? It's too exact. So now Marvel legal team has to approve it. And if they don't
Oh.
approve it, you're out. I'm all, when is deadline? 5 weeks. It's going to take 2 weeks to make molds. I don't know how to make molds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking, you know what, Albert, let's take a leap of faith, invest money, make molds, and see what happens, and not expect a thing.
Yeah.
And I did. 2 weeks before deadline, I said, Albert, it's approved. We want 1,000 units. And obviously, I'm doing this all by hand.
Right.
It takes like 3 hours to do 50 pieces, and they want 1,000, right? This is only the chocolate work.
How long was it taking?
50 hours for 3 hours for 50 pieces.
Okay.
And then that's not including mold making. Mold making took 40 hours.
Can you, and I know the story's not done, but can you tell me, when you make a mold, because you said you come from an artist background, like you're an artist,
Correct.
and I've seen some of your work, and I'm gonna pull some of them up, so you guys are gonna see it too.
Yeah.
But so when you're creating those, how do you make the mold?
Well, they're done with food grade silicone. And so now I either 3D print, or I would carve, or I would cast, or a company would give me a sample product. Disney usually will provide me like
Oh, I see.
an image,
Okay.
and I will have some science and legalities of R&Ds and whatever the case may be.
Right.
And then I have to convert. Let's say, for example, they give me this model, and it's a model of Groot.
Right.
And from this whole model, I only need to extract his face.
Right.
So I have to do my magic of creating a three-dimensional piece by carving or 3D printing or whatever, and then making like a dam. It's like
Okay.
like a case.
Yeah.
And then you measure it, and then from there you have it's like a science lab.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's a lot of chemistry, and you have portion A, portion B. I have a degassing chamber unit. I have a gas mask, and that's just to make a silicone mold.
Yeah.
And then when you have that, you got to replicate that multiple times, because now they'll say, hey, we want 5,000 units, right? So how do you do that? And then once you have the mold, you got to hand paint every single mold. But the cool thing is, it was so exact. That's what got me into the map. And I catered to the vice president of Disney, owner of Marvel, all the celebrities of Guardians of the Galaxy. And then from there, I got onto KTLA Morning News, and then Netflix found me online, and it started to escalate. And then from there, I moved out of my 1 bedroom that I was renting. I was able to afford a home, you know. And I mean, I was in debt, thousands and thousands of dollars. And then now I have a beautiful 2 bedroom home, and I'm comfortable, and it's like, it's a full-fledged business.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's crazy.
Man, I love the story, like top to bottom. I think it's, you know, obviously, no matter how long a story, you're never really gonna be able to show or share the amount of sacrifice, the amount of emotional challenge you had to go through to get there.
Oh, yes.
But I think it's so important for people to hear, because sometimes that path is not clear, and hearing how other people take that leap of faith and do get to the point where you can look back on it and go, for what was I thinking? But
Yes.
also, I'm glad I did it. And
Correct.
it's a really important place to get to.
Correct. I mean, it's definitely fearful because there's so much things that are happening, and especially when a lot of odds are against you, right? It's like, and then my family saying what they're saying, and I love them for that. And then looking back, I'm glad that they did, because it was actually my driving force. And kind of going deeper with it. And again, I want the audience and the viewers to get this from my experiences. You know, you really have to be aware of where you're getting your life force from. You know, where you're getting your motivational from. Because in the beginning, it was through anger. I'm like, I'm going to prove to them, I'm going to prove to myself that I'm not a failure. No. But then when your naysayers starts becoming your yaysayers, so now you're no longer angry, right? You're no
Right.
longer frustrated. It's
Right.
like you defy the odds now. Like, now what are you really doing this for? So
Right.
there was a moment to where my creativity slumped again. I'm like, how come I'm not motivated anymore? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And you really had to dig deep. Like, this is really about you. It's not about them. It's about how far do you want to take it, you know? And then I started tapping in, not into anger and frustration, but more into love and light. Like, hey, I want to blow this up, something that's beyond me, you know?
Yeah.
And being vulnerable too, because there's a lot of times to where, you know, now I converted from. Not converted. I was making cake pops in the beginning for 7 years or so, but it was this year because of COVID. It's kind of weird, but my business actually escalated to the next level because I'm always home and I'm stuck
That's
at
why
home.
it's so hard to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? So,
It's always a good problem when you become that busy.
know?
And you know, I'm gonna say one other thing about one thing that really drew me to what you have to say, and just you and your energy. So you work at Apple, right?
Yes.
So that's
and not much people know about that. Well, now you know. The gig is up. I work at Apple too.
right.
On top of
Wait,
all this.
were we not saying that?
No,
Were we not saying
we're not saying that. It's all good.
So I think the great thing about being passionate about something
Yeah.
is that I was there. I think I was getting I probably go into Apple and just buy stuff I don't need all the time. I'm such a tech head,
Yeah.
you know? So I probably was getting like a dongle or something. Or no, I was going there for
An Apple Watch.
No, it wasn't an Apple Watch.
Oh, but no, a
I did just
computer.
break one though. Yes,
It was a
yes,
computer.
yes. I got the laptop. And you and I started talking, and then you know I think you had mentioned something about entrepreneurship, and I'd mentioned, well, I'm actually the chairman for the Chamber of Commerce, and you know what are you doing? And then you mentioned about, you know, you're at that point where you're going to expand and you're like going to blow up, and then we started just talking about what it is you do, and I think it's important, like, even though like you're at your day job and you're focused on that, right? And you're still being a good employee. You were helping me out.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm not saying
I hit my numbers. Hey,
he hit
I
his
hit my numbers.
He hit his numbers. He totally hit his numbers. All right.
Always.
All right. Check the books. But in that conversation, like I could tell, like it wasn't just something that you were just like talking about. You're just like, you were very passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that I love. I love that because I think there's something very powerful and important about speaking things into existence,
Right.
right? So like that conversation on that afternoon, like I want to say 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a while, man.
3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the beginning when I was a
Yeah.
new employee.
Yeah, you had just started.
Yeah, 'cause I've been there for 4 years now, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that one conversation, and then just, hit me up on Instagram. Okay, what's your Instagram? Boom.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like seeing your stuff, and like,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's great. Like just being able to, when you talk to people about your goals, when you talk to people about what it is you're trying to do,
Correct.
you're bound to find people. If you talk to enough people, just the numbers alone, you're going to find people that along the way are going to support that. And that people that see it in you, that you're going to do well. And that I want to see that journey. And that's why I think social media can be very powerful and very important,
Yes.
because it allows people to be with you on the journey.
Correct.
And that's something I've seen just even on your Instagram. Like you went from just posting pictures, and then you started doing video, and I'm like, man, he's really got some good presence. Like you do really well. Like you guys got to go check out his Instagram. What is it? Albert's Petite Sweets.
Albert's Petite Sweets. Yeah.
Okay, you guys got to check it out. I mean, you do great video content.
Yeah.
The pictures are amazing.
Yeah.
And just watching your journey, like that's the best part. I mean, social media, man, 95% of it's just garbage, I think. But that 5%, it's stories like yours.
And it, sometimes too, when I'm doing posts and videos, as much as possible, I want things to be real and raw as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you see Instagram and social media, it's always so perfect. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I'm an Insta famous person. To me, okay, part of my shit, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, Insta famous is Insta failure to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, just like water, you know, water is very important to us.
Well, it's easy come, easy go.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the faster it happens, the faster it goes away.
Because you don't know how to navigate through the whole process.
Right.
You know, like for example, if I know how to make, let's say, 1 dozen bonbons, which we'll explore in a few minutes here, cake pops. 1 dozen cake pops is different from 10,000 cake pops. So
Right.
then how do you able to navigate through that, store it, expedite it, charge it, all within a matter of minutes, on top of my other jobs that I'm juggling, right? So I think sometimes when people wish for, like, hey, I want to be famous right here, right now, you got to be careful.
Well, and it's also like that. I mean, this happens all the time, where when people reach that level of being famous or just success in general,
Mm-hmm.
they don't appreciate it as much, and it doesn't fill the void that they were looking for. Because sometimes that attention, that fame, that success wasn't the success they were meant to have, and the journey, to that place is where you find yourself. Right?
Correct. It's so funny you mentioned that, because I'm close to my parents. I talk to my parents weekly, every other day actually. And so I love my mom and my dad. They're amazing people. My mom has been one of my biggest idols in my life. She's the one who taught me discipline and work ethics. And, okay, Albert, you're upset right now. You cry, suck it up, and then tomorrow I don't want to hear it. She's that type of woman. She's
Dude, shout out to mom.
Yeah.
Good job, mom.
I love my mom, and she's a tough cookie. And
I see what you did there. Cookie, sweets. Dude, you're always on it, man.
I didn't even notice that.
Marketing genius.
I didn't notice that. And so, but, with her, she was the one who really instilled the work ethics with me. I remember the age of, I was maybe 7, 6.
Mm-hmm.
I had my to-do list. I was in preschool, and she's like, Albert, what is that list? What's my to-do list? It's like, where do you learn that? Well, from you. I gotta go do my homework. After school, I gotta go to the store and get my candy. I gotta get my nap. So my life is like a bunch of to-do lists.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be transparent. I completely forgot what I was talking about.
Dude, welcome to my world all the time. I don't, dude. Once you start talking about mom, dude, it's just like,
Insta famous and
Right.
and the void and everything else. So I was discussing this with my mom about. I'm really glad, looking back at it all, that I went through all the pain.
right.
I mean, I think sometimes when people see things on Instagram, obviously, and when people are posting things online, they only show, look, I'm beautiful, or look, I'm buff, yeah, look at all the money that I'm making, bling, 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 bling. But they don't know all the sacrifices that they have to do behind the cameras,
Right.
And when I went through losing my home, not eating, not making enough food, money to eat or pay rent, or alone on lonely nights, to where a lot of my friends would just be partying on the weekends or just going out, and I'm home doing invoices, trying to figure it out. How am I going to make this sale? How am I going to do this? Like, how do I make this flavor better? Blah, 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 blah. Every night, and you get lonely after a while. And then now to where I am today, it has shaped me to really be aware of where I put my energy. To the point that before I would be immersed in drama. Now the minute, like, came to a point to where when I turned, I'm 43 now, I turned 40, 39, 40. My family saw a switch in me.
Yeah.
To where the minute I with drama, friend, family, business, I'm out. And I say it with everyone who comes into my life, you need to be in your A game in your life. If you're not in your A game, you're out, because I have no time for drama. And when I shifted that, it was just like next success, next.
And you know what I love about that? It's not that you don't have time for them because you don't care about them. It's you want them to be at their A game, right? It's like you would, if you had the choice, you would just choose for them to be at a point where their energy is a positive one that
Correct.
you can really live with and grow with.
Correct.
I've had to make that same decision, and and it's a compassionate one.
Yeah.
I think it's actually the compassionate way of doing things. Sometimes cutting people out of your life sounds so negative, right? It sounds so dismissive or just mean, but it's really not. It's compassionate, because when people realize that when they are being a source of positivity, energy, a source of support, that the people that value that want to be in their lives more, and it becomes a positive incentive for them to be that way. I feel the same way, man. You don't have time for the drama, and honestly, man, every moment you're thinking about something negative in your head, that's a moment you could have been focused on your passion, focused on somebody you love, somebody you care about, something you could have done better for somebody else, and like, self-analysis, and like, I think it's really important. So have you had to cut out a lot of people in your life?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of people in my life that I put a lot of energy on. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I'm a very passionate person. I'm a Scorpio. So there's certain parts about me to where, like,
I'm perfect. I want to, for the record, that's
you're perfect.
You're
Right?
speaking for yourself.
Like sometimes I kind of like grab on, like I'm a pit bull sometimes. So if I lock my jaw into something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm learning to let go some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to grow in this business because, there's so much parts and segments and compartments in this business now to the next level. Like, I cannot put too much emphasis and focus on people that are emotional suckers, or like, because before in the past I would allow and empower people who say, "Oh, you're crappy."
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, like, oh my God, they said this and that. Don't get me wrong, I still go through those stages, but I'm lucky. My boyfriend actually keeps me in check and said, "Okay, Albert, let it go. Can't control it. Let's go make those bonbons now."
Yeah.
So.
Whenever I hear bonbons, I just think of I'm gonna age myself. Married with Children, because Peggy loved bonbons. I still don't know what a bonbon is.
Wait,
that could be the first thing you teach me. What is a bonbon?
Can I give you one? My bonbon. Okay, this is gonna be for you.
You brought bonbons?
Yes, this is gonna be for. Well, I'm gonna give this to you.
I skipped my workout today. How dare you?
Yeah. So in there,
Okay.
the box is a present for you and your wife. So you have to open one and see.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
want me to take it out for you? And,
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'll just ruin it.
it's okay. So this is for you. Then I made.
And Kathy just reminded me that no one's perfect. And Kathy, you're totally right. I was just
from
totally
scratch.
kidding.
Oh,
I'm far from it. All right, look at this. All right, do I open it?
Yeah.
I'm
Open
gonna
it.
break it. All right,
Yeah. So
they're beautiful. And you do all your own photography, right?
yeah, I do more
Man,
photography.
and do you have a background in that? I feel like, do you take the best pictures of stuff?
No, I still take
This
it with
is awesome. I should show.
my iPhone 8.
Wait,
Which I'm moving up.
Wait,
That's all soon.
You're plugging Apple even on your day off. See, that's the quality of work you
And I
want.
have Apple Care.
So let me see if I can do this. So the zoom's gonna be off. Oh shit! See, I told you I was gonna ruin
No
it.
worries. As
All right.
long as you get to try it out.
Did I lose one? Did I
No,
lose one?
it's us in there, right there.
Oh, okay. I gotta put it back so it looks pretty. All right. Let's see. Check that out.
It's tough to see, but there it is.
Oh, there we go. It has to think it's your face. Look at that. Man.
So yeah, those
All
are like
right.
a variety of flavors
Okay.
of okay. If you're into fruits like guava and
So I'm a caramel person.
okay, if you're a caramel person,
Caramel
if you're a
person.
caramel person, I recommend this one. This is apple caramel.
Apple caramel.
It's roasted apple crisp caramel. I
Okay.
think.
Now, do you say
you're-
caramel or is it caramel? I feel like
I think caramel.
Caramel?
Everyone says it differently, but caramel.
Kathy, what do you guys think? Caramel or caramel? It's the it's gonna be the debate of the century. Okay, so this one right here.
Yeah, that's the one.
The Santa one.
Yeah.
All right. Was I supposed to eat the whole thing at once?
I would bite it
Or,
first.
okay,
like a
bite
little-
it first. See, I'm dude, I'm an ape. I'm an ape, bro. Like, I just thought about that. I'm like, yeah. My wife always gets mad at me. I don't chew my food. She's like, do you even taste things? Like, what do you? All right, so I take a bite of it.
Yeah,
to taste it.
I
All
know.
right. That's really good. So wait, on the inside. Oh, so it's the apples on the inside.
Yeah. The
Oh,
roast.
okay.
Yeah, the roasted apple crisp, and I do a dry caramelization.
That's really good.
It's my favorite.
So, whenever there have been sweets, I never really like try. I'm so lame. Like I never try the ones that like I don't know what it is, right? But this is really good.
I think we kind of gravitate towards what we're comfortable with, and that's why I think in the business of cake pops, I was so stuck on chocolate cake. I had a specific library, and I don't know why I did not want to evolve to the next stage until I felt that I was mastering it. But then there came to a point where, Albert, now it's mastered. Now it's really time to evolve into working and dealing with the real chocolates. Not to say it's any better, but it's just a higher grade. Like, for example, these
So
guys are tempered
Isn't that kind of
chocolates.
like saying it's better if it's higher?
Well,
grade?
I mean, like,
It's like, not to say it's any better. It's just superior.
yeah, it's just like it's just different because, like, for example, I still use compound chocolates for some of my cake pops, but there's different applications for them.
So what's a
right?
compound chocolate?
Okay, so a compound chocolate is something that you would melt and you're ready to rock and roll, right? So it lacks a bit more cocoa in it. So let's say, for example, you go to like Guittard or Merkins or that type of brand. That's all very good. You melt it, it tastes great, it's awesome. But the one thing about it, there's a bit more of a waxy flavor to it. It's good, but it's a bit more waxy.
Oh, so it's like those chocolate bunnies, like that you get at like the.
yes.
They kind of taste like. Yeah. I
It's
think
a
I
bit
know.
more waxy.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so even some certain, compound or couverture or, tempered chocolates is a bit waxy. But like when you're dealing with, most tempered chocolates, when you bite into it, there's a snap. It's
Yeah,
shiny.
yeah.
It's crisp.
Yeah, like that was it snapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To where like it melts in your mouth nice and smooth. When you have
Yeah.
a cocoa bomb and you put it in milk and water, it dissolves and emulsifies really well, in opposed to like floating chunks, right?
Right.
So now when you're having tempered chocolate, it's smoother, when you're drinking it or eating it with wine or coffee, or it's just different. It just melts so much different in your mouth. And so then I took a class last year, and I've always wanted to be able to make this. It intimidated me,
Yeah.
but it was expensive. It was a very expensive course. But then I learned from the masters. I learned from Melissa Koppel, her class in Las Vegas. A good friend of mine, Tim Shook, one of my angel investors, he said, Albert, I believe in you. I think you should take this course. So I went through that course through his help. And but there was a lot of information. It was hard because everything was done in grams. Everything was done in Celsius, and those terminologies I've never heard of before. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, teach, and equipments I've never seen before. So when I met her as well in Vegas, I was starstruck because she was my idol. I'm like, this
Right.
is Melissa. And then, so after that was last November and October, nothing happened. I still stuck with cake pops. I didn't really evolve. Then I met Chris Harvey. our paths. So the weirdest thing, our paths cross online. He was impressed with what I was able to do with compound chocolates, and there was a certain level to where he said, Albert, you know what? Just because you work from home doesn't mean any less. You know, because look at your clientele, and you're still working with compound chocolates, right? So imagine when you learn tempered chocolates, you're gonna elevate. And I remember him saying that, like, you're going to the next level, and then he simplified it for me. He taught me certain things. I'm like, oh, that's it? It's like, yeah. So I did it, and I did my first batch of, like, you know, a couple of dozens. It was sold out within a few weeks. I made 300 units. It was sold in another few weeks. Then after that, I catered to the CEO of Hyundai Genesis. And it started to escalate. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So now it's like my cake pop dream, to where now it's transcending from my cake pop. Now I'm making bonbons and patafui, which is like jellies. This one, you might not into, I know you're into caramel, but you got to try this. You're going to flip out.
I'm going to eat them all.
You're going to flip out.
Which one?
This one. This is the guava. It's called
This
guava.
one right here?
Patafui. It's like a fruit jelly, but it's really, really highly concentrated. Maybe it's real fruits.
This one. Gonna eat this one now.
That's my favorite.
So it's guava?
Guava.
Okay. I'm not going to shove it in my mouth like a
bite.
Neanderthal. It's so soft. It tastes like real guava.
It's made with all guava. And it's really funny because I shop in stores
It's really good.
and check it out.
Oh, is guava the one where like people like would like put salt on it and like in the guava, so it kind of tastes okay. I
Yeah.
see.
And then when I see food squares in like different stores,
That's really good.
I'll eat one. I'm like, isn't it supposed to hit you right now? Like,
It's like melts in your mouth. I'm sorry, I'm still talking about this.
No, please do. No, I'm glad. No, please do. Yeah. And so now I make bonbons and patafui and marshmallows, and now
What's
moving.
patafui? That sounds so fancy.
I think it's French. I'm not. I think it's French.
We're having a whole debate on that, how to spell. What was it? Bougie, which is one I always mess with it, but I think Kathy's right on that one. I think Jandon did it, but yeah, when it comes to like the, because so how do you say it again?
Patafui. It's
Patafui?
Pate. Pate. De.
So when you're
fruit,
when you're
Fruit.
talking to other people that are like chefs, or is there a different name for a chef who does desserts or does?
Yeah. So, like, for example, someone who deals with just mostly chocolates, they're a chocolatier, right?
Oh, chocolatier.
They
So
make
is that what you are? You're a chocolatier.
So I thought I was that, but then I'm doing other things too, like now patafui and marshmallows. So then I'm more of a confectioner, you know.
Confectioner.
So then I would deal with different types of mediums, you know, from bonbons to truffles to
This is so good.
jellies and marshmallows and cake pops. So it's definitely like it's almost like an alchemist, you know, like a candy alchemist. It's a chemistry. You have to kind of like, it's all chemistry. If you're slightly off in a degree or two, the texture's different, the flavor's different, and it's very humbling. Because you're spending all these hours making it and prepping it, and it's like, it's a bad batch or something.
So is there so I had a really nice dinner in Vegas one time, and I am by no means a fancy person, but they had like the guy who does wine, and he pairs everything with a different wine for every single food.
Yes.
You know what that's called?
Like chocolate and wine pairing. They do that. I mean, I'm not familiar with that. I'll be honest with you.
They did like the wine as like having dinner. What's that called? Where like the wine person who comes out, there's like a name for him. Very important person at a restaurant. I think I went to that Wolfgang Puck
oh,
restaurant.
wow.
And yeah, it was late at night in Vegas. You do things like that. But I was wondering, is there like a person who does that with chocolates? Like they pair chocolates with like a specific.
Yeah, there's different types of chocolates. That's definitely that goes. It's really funny. So again, I'm being transparent with this. I am.
Oh yeah, that word, sommelier.
Okay.
Sommelier, right? The R is silent. Sommelier. Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I don't know my wine pairing in chocolate yet. So as I'm evolving, I still have to look it up. Like, hey, what's a good flavor of chocolate with this kind of fruit or with this kind of wine, or so then you have they match really well. Like certain kind of fruits, things that are very citrusy tend to be really good with dark chocolates.
Okay.
Certain ones are better with milk or white, but depending on what you're covering or making or your ganache or some sort. So I still have to look that up.
Yeah.
In regards of like wine, the best wine with the best chocolate, that one I'm not too familiar with. I'm not at that level, not yet.
Well, no, I mean, and you don't have to be. The great thing is like when you're doing something so good and you still know like, okay, I can grow in that area, but the fact that I'm not there doesn't stop me from going the same, getting to where I was going anyway.
Oh, definitely.
And I think that's where people can hold themselves back when they feel like, you know what, I'm not those people. I can't do that. Therefore, I think you get this what's it called, an imposter complex, where you feel like, am I really this person? Like I didn't go to school for that specific thing. So can I even touch that? Is that off limits? There's a little bit of that in media too.
Definitely.
Like when it comes to like directing, producing, cinematography, audio, it's like, I know I'm one of those where I know a lot about a lot of the stuff when it comes to media.
Yeah.
But then I meet somebody who's like really, really proficient at this one thing. And I'm like, hey, hats off to you. That's amazing. I couldn't do that because I couldn't just focus on that one thing, but I appreciate that they can.
Correct.
I think so. You consider yourself more of like you are well-rounded in all of it, and you're putting it all together, making the pieces work and still growing at the same time.
Correct. And I think I'm in that stage because, when I first started this business, again, I remember when I was getting mentored by Sergio Mortara. He's the owner of Continental Gourmet. They're my partner kitchen in Lomita, California. They have the best empanadas. So I'll do a little plug for you, Sergio. You're the man. They have the best empanadas and growing business. All their empanadas were at the Staples Center, on all the stadiums. I mean, they were everywhere. With COVID hit, obviously, modifications have to be made. But, you can check them out, Continental Gourmet. There's one in Gardena and also in Lomita. Okay. And so when people order my products, they pick it up at their kitchen location. So we became friends. He used to be a member at Equinox.
Okay.
So when I lost it all, I needed a kitchen to kind of function in. He said, hey, I've seen you train in Equinox. I have a kitchen. I don't use when it's closed. Why won't you experiment and see what you can do with it? I'm like, well, how much is it going to cost? Nothing. I'm like, I can rob you. I could.
You didn't say that, right?
Well, yeah, I told him I could do like. I mean, you gave me the keys to your place. Like, I could burn your kitchen down. I could mess up. I could, what? So Albert, have cameras everywhere and have insurance, and I trust you. And those were the kind of things where I was like,
did he say it in that order? In that order?
I mean, in different orders, but he was like, but that really humbled me. I was like, wow, there's really good people in this world.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to help me. He didn't have to be there. So I knew that higher power God was watching over me. Like, Albert, you make it. You cannot fail. Failure is not even an option. If you're getting this much support from people, you failing is a slap in their faces. That's the way I look at it. It's dishonoring them.
Yeah.
And so when I worked on it, there was a chef that he was working with, and there was a point I started doing different types of desserts. And long story short, we butted heads. And at the time, I didn't know how to stand up for myself. So I was a bit more of a pushover because I just didn't know my own bearings. And one day I stood up against him. Almost 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not in the mood for your crap right now. And he said, Albert, you don't know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, you're damn right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But if you go to my gym, you bet your ass I'm going to annihilate you. Because that's my world. Right. And then he just became quiet. But the kitchen is your world. And I'm just learning how to do it. So cut me some slack.
Right.
And so then when I went there, he said, Albert, he apologized after. And he said, Albert, the reason why I'm kind of a bit of a, hard on you is because you're focusing on different things. Don't overspread yourself thin.
Right.
Like I've been in this business for 30 years and I have Danishes and this and that. And I'm in every show possible in LA and I'm losing a lot of money. And I'm now in my 70s. I don't want you making your mistakes. My mistakes. He said that. So like focus on one. Master it, be proficient with it, then move on to the next.
Yeah.
So that made me stay on just cake pops for years. I'm okay. I wanted to blow this out of the water, and then when I felt like now it's it's still good. It's it's amazing. I'm like, Albert, now it's time to evolve to your next level, which is now working with real chocolates and now making them look like gems. And now with the skill set, I could do the same exact thing I'm doing with Disney characters,
Right.
but level of taste and crunch and quality is the next level.
So while we do this, I'm going to actually pull up a few pictures, and so here's the game. You're just going to give, these are some pictures that I pulled from your social media.
Yeah.
And you're just going to give me just like a little bit more context, like what's going on in the photo. Give me some more context, okay? So let's pull that up here. And let's start with, I don't know how this is going to look actually. There we go.
Oh, it was oh man, I think it was the LA and Dodgers. I think it was the LA Dodgers. They made it to the finals that year, and they asked me to make cake pops for that season in KTLA, and invited me over to be their guest, and my products to be a guest product there. I was humbled by that. It was crazy.
Wow.
Because I was in an Apple meeting, and then my phone keeps on ringing, and my boss is like, "Who's keep on pinging?" I'm like, "It's Lou Parker." Like, "You have Lou Parker's phone number?" Like, "Yeah, she calls me once in a while." To get me on the show, I'll answer later on. Like, "No, Albert, answer it now."
and you strike me as a person who, once you make these relationships, you honor the relationship. So you probably are the relationships that going forward you can rely on if there's opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always want it to be a win-win situation with people, and I'm always grateful for, the people that I meet. You know what I mean? I as much
really
as
good,
possible.
by the way.
You like that?
Yeah, it's really good. All right, let's see the next one here.
Oh my gosh, that was intense. So that was the Tom Shoes. I believe it was Tom Shoes. Tom Shoes? Was it Tom Shoes? Jesus, please don't. It was. If you, can you scroll up? It was a shoe company. Yeah, I believe it's Tom's. Oh Jesus Christ!
I thought that one was at Disneyland.
No, this is in the Americana, and they were launching their new shoes, and then they finally landed a partnership with the Princess line.
Okay.
Jesus, it happened a couple of years ago. Please forgive me if I could look at my
No.
phone. And,
well,
and
I was
see.
when I pulled this up, I was really looking at like your reaction and like how interested everybody is in what it is you're doing, and like the obvious like element of you taking pride in what you're doing and just like being out there.
That day was crazy.
Yeah.
Because the original plan was I was supposed to drop it off and that was it. So as you can see, I'm wearing my muscle shirt, right?
Right.
I'm not wearing a chef's coat.
It's the only shirts I have.
So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to drop it off and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the director's like, "Hey, Albert, you're the one wearing gloves. Can you hand out the cake pops to all the people?" I'm like, this line, and there's literally like hundreds and hundreds of kids. So I'm like, sure, this is Disney. This is them. I'm not going to say no to them.
Right.
So I was there, and they're like, "Albert, you got to move quick. It's only one cake pop per person. Go, go, go." I'm like, and obviously some of the people are like, "Hey, my kids are sitting on the tree. Can I get two?" I don't know how to navigate all this. So I was stressed out. And there was this little girl that came up to me, and this was just so, like, "Can I have that one?" I'm like, "Oh, whatever you want, sweetie."
Yeah.
And so it was a really amazing moment. 'Cause again, there was a time I wanted to be able to cater to the Americana.
Yeah.
And I had somebody tell me, "Albert, you're not good enough. You're not going to make it here."
Yeah.
And then here I am, like, in the Center Park Americana, in front of Apple, catering to hundreds of people. And it's me, and then it's just crazy because it was something that I was told that would never be.
That's awesome.
How
about this one?
Oh, Netflix. That was amazing. So when I moved into my new home, obviously rent was much more expensive, and I was praying to God. I'm like, "God, I don't know how I'm able to afford this new home, but I need a big client."
Yeah.
And then literally a few days after, I was on KTLA News, Netflix hit me up.
The truffle? What is this?
That one is roasted coconut.
Roasted coconut?
Marshmallow.
Cool. I'm allergic, but that's cool.
And so what ended up happening is they hit me up and they said, "Hey, we're doing all these we have to wind and dine all the producers for this event, and can you give us a quote for like, 10,000 units? I'm like, wait a minute, what? So I've never done that before. So I mean, like, how is this even possible in my head, And that was really the growth to where I think the universe was testing me about scalability. So then now I was given, when I found my home, my kitchen is huge. It is massive. The kitchen is
You
about.
don't gotta brag about it.
I'm very blessed about it. So, but when I landed that house with a large kitchen, I'm thinking, you know what? The universe is preparing you for something big.
Yeah.
Something's about to happen, so you need to be prepared. So I worked really hard every day preparing it, and then when I was just getting settled a week in, moving into the home, boom! It was just like, oh damn, here it is, and it was through Netflix, and then that helped me gain more respect with my family too, to where it's like, hey, my brothers, this is real, you know.
They're giving me a hard time about eating on the phone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is really, really good.
Yeah,
And I wasn't planning on you bringing some here. If I would have known that, for real, this is how bad I am. I would have definitely worked out extra today if I knew I was going to eat chocolates.
Yeah, it's.
So now I'll have to go run tomorrow.
This one has Pop Rocks in it. I think your kids will like
Pop
this.
Rocks, really?
Yeah, it's
I'm going to have Brooklyn eat that one and just videotape her.
It's like a hazelnut praline with like a hazelnut. What's it called? Pop Rocks in it. So when they bite into it and then it hits their tongue, it starts popping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna
It's always
like that.
good for pictures and video when kids do it when they're not used to Pop Rocks.
You know.
Okay, we have one more here. Then we're almost time's up, almost. And then Mr.
Wayne-
Whose line is it anyway?
Wayne Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually. This is the beginning of my business, to where they also found me online, and they said, "Hey, we want your products to be a door prize for a show." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And it was funny because I was one of the contestants years ago, and then when
You're a contestant?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
at the show. But after my products was featured there, they said, "Oh my gosh, you're the guy who wore the wings costume. You were an angel." I'm like, "Yeah, I was. That was years ago." And said that, "Hey, you make chocolates now." It's like, "Yeah, we would like to have you as a door prize for the show." And at the time, the name of my business was Albert's Petite Sweets with a Z. It was Petite Sweets with a Z. It wasn't
Okay.
even Albert's Petite Sweets with an S.
Okay.
So no one found me. No one went to my website, and I was so upset. So that week, I'm like, I'm changing it, and then every name that popped up wasn't available. So then I picked Albert's Petite Sweets, and then that was the only one that was available. So now I own it.
Oh, awesome.
I'm married to it now.
So who is your favorite celebrity that you've had the pleasure to serve?
My favorite celebrity. Oh my goodness.
Or maybe a company, or like your biggest order as far as like, whoa. I mean, I would expect probably Disney or Netflix, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, definitely Guardians of the Galaxy. It was Disney, because that was something it was never been done before, and so it was really honoring, because when I did that design for Disney, the chefs and the people, event planners, said, "Albert, your cake pops was one of the very few in the company that they actually attach a name to your product." So when you go to Disneyland, you'll see nachos and pretzels. They never see Gamora's nachos, or Groot's chimichanga. You never see that, because
Right.
they're not in character, right?
Right.
So when they were selling my product, they say, "This is a Groot cake pop."
Right.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was very honoring, because it was something. It brought me to the map of pushing myself to my limits of making my own molds. Now I know how to make them, and because of that, I'm able to do it for different companies now.
Yeah.
Branding. It was more of a marketing medium, more than just a treat. It's an experience, and so that's also my tagline. It's really an experience.
Right.
And doing all the characters, all the celebrities, because all the star, The Rock wasn't there, but all the actors for the movie were at the Grand Hotel of Disney, and all of them had my personal box of cake pops in their hotel rooms.
Yeah.
with my name on it. And usually they don't allow vendors to advertise.
Yeah.
They say, hey, this guy's a small business. He's working his butt off. I remember the chef saying that. Let him be. And my name was in every package. So
That's
it was awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Next is probably a candy shop.
Yeah.
That's going to be the next level, because right now I feel I'm a home-based business. I'm a cottage food operator, and legally I'm able to, work from home and I get inspected by the city of LA. But it's coming to the point that, I'm outgrowing my home. I could feel it. I could already feel it.
Yeah.
We had the conversation 4 years ago with my other home.
Right.
The same
Well, I
exact thing.
remember there was a picture, and it was basically like your home. It was really a kitchen that you lived in. Really, that's what it looked like. It didn't look like a home where like you pull some stuff out and you bake and cook. It looked like it was all set up for that very specific purpose, and then you also had like a little living space too.
Yeah.
So I mean, you probably are outgrowing it. And I mean, from a opportunistic standpoint, over the next year, there's going to be a lot of good lease opportunities, I think.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you and I talked about it. So I owned the gym for 10 years and got out of the lease in March when the first stay-at-home order happened. And it was a great thing for me. But I would have stayed. It was a good thing it didn't happen. But I told them I'm willing to sign another 2-year if you keep my price exactly where it's at, because they were going to increase it. And this is during a stay-at-home order.
Yeah.
I was already shut down.
Damn.
And I told them I would stay if it was a good deal. They said, nope, we're going to up it because, the next year. And I was like, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. Like, why wouldn't you take the guaranteed money for 2 years, even if you're going to give up 10 cents on a square foot? And so they're like, oh, they did their thing of like, well, we have people that will, lease right now. I was like, all right, well, then go ahead and do it. And I got out. And it was a great thing. And then I just looked at LoopNet, because it's like the commercial leases and stuff. And now they're doing it for like half of what I said I would have done it in March. So I think that, unfortunately, due to the circumstances, I think that there's going to be a lot of leasing opportunities that happen. So,
Correct.
I think that, sometimes in disasters and in things that are really unfortunate, one positive thing that might happen is the barrier for entry for passionate, entrepreneurs that want to get into a commercial lease, want to grow their business. There's going to be that opportunity, right? So
Correct.
I think that, and on one hand, we're dealing with all the terrible stuff that's happening today, and a silver lining is going to be people that are in a position and able to take an opportunity when it comes. I think there is going to be a lot of opportunity, especially for you over the next year. So
yeah,
I mean,
I'm praying to God, but it feels that way. I kid you not. It's just now, like when I do my daily meditations and prayers, and then when I look at what I have, I'm thinking, you know what? Like a year ago when I took a class, I remember talking to Melissa. I'm like, do you know I have to fork out this much amount of dollars just to start? And I gave a number. I did this is basic calculations. Just like, Albert, that's the price when you being cheap. You're not even scratching the surface if you're going to make some money with it.
Well,
I'm like, oh my God.
Because the investment is always relative to the amount of success. If you really felt like you're sitting on like you're going to make, $1 million, well then investing 50,000 is nothing, right?
Correct.
But if you doubt your own success, well then anything over $1 seems like a loss, right?
Correct. But now it's like from just a year ago with COVID hitting, because I'm at home, it really, and a lot of my fan base and a lot of my friends and family has said, Albert, you really have taken this really to the next level of content and substance and quality. And now I'm looking at my kitchen, I'm like, what I feared before that I thought I couldn't have, I have that and then some. Without even really just thinking about it. I just went on autopilot. I'm like, this has to be done. You do like, bite-sized chunks, and that's one thing I learned about business. You have a big goal and a big dream, but don't focus on that because it's daunting. It's really overwhelming. Just focus on this one little section, and before you know it, that adds up. And before you know it, you have everything. You look back behind, you're like, I did all that? Did that just happen?
Yep. Like, you got to go through hell to get there sometimes.
Oh,
and It's obvious that you've went through a lot of that, and you've made some really tough decisions. And I from from where I'm sitting, I feel like you've made the right decisions.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody? We're just going to wrap up. Why don't you tell everybody where they could find out more about you and what you have going on?
Yeah, so you can find me on albertspetitesweets.com and also on Instagram, Albert's Petite Sweets. I'm currently taking pre-orders right now, getting ready for the holidays, of course. And then I can ship, but please, just kind of text me or email me because obviously they kind of vary depending on where they're going. But you could find me all my products online at albertspetitesweets.com. And there you have it.
Well, guys, I'm sorry, I have chocolate in my mouth now. Dude, these are so good. I'll be honest, that last one I ate in one bite. Only because the camera wasn't on me. But I'll slow down for the rest of these. It's been amazing. I'm glad we made it happen.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to sit down and talk. I know the future is bright for you, and I'm going to keep following you, and we're going to have you back. And you know what? When you open up your shop, I'll be there with my video camera. We'll make sure
Definitely.
we'll keep you guys all informed because it's going to be awesome. Thank you for watching this episode of Brick by Brick. I will see you guys next time. Make sure you follow and share and help us get the word out. And we're going to keep building the community one conversation at a time, brick by brick. Have a great night, guys. Bye. Dude, thank you so much.
Dude, okay, you got to see the